Hi there, Michael Elliott with Camp and Park Accounting, and I am the Campground CPA, coming to you today with question number 3 in our Ask the Campground CPA question series. Today's question came from a campground owner who recently asked me to explain sort of what is bookkeeping? Like what do you mean? You accountants throw this term bookkeeping out all the time. What do we mean by that? And why is bookkeeping important? And maybe how does that differ a little bit from maybe personal bookkeeping you do versus business bookkeeping? So I'm going to kind of try to hit on all three of those things. So first and foremost, what is bookkeeping? So what bookkeeping is bookkeeping is a systematic method of keeping your books and records for your business. So Michael, boil it down, make it a little simpler. So what it means is it's the record or recording of all of your income and all of your expenses during the year. And that means breaking the income and breaking the expenses down into various categories. And so for campgrounds and RV parks, the various types of revenue might be short-term RV rental sites, right? It might be cabin rentals, it might be tent sites, it might be store revenue. Those are some of the various categories where we would break down the revenue for a campground and RV park. So then in terms of the expenses, what are some of the expenses? Well, we might have repairs and maintenance expenses. We might have office supplies. We might have cleaning supplies. We might have wages, right? Those are some of the expenses. So what bookkeeping is bookkeeping is gathering all of that income and all of that expense data from sort of the ecosystem which your campground operates, right? The various credit card accounts, the various bank accounts, right? Maybe money you spent personally, getting that data from the various sources, consolidating it into one place, and then entering that data into some sort of system so that you can track how your income and how your expenses are kind of stacking up throughout the year. Now, there are a number of different tools which make bookkeeping much easier. You can use something like just a plain old sheet of paper and keep track by hand, and that works for some folks. You can use like ledger pad and things like that. I don't necessarily recommend that for most folks because there's more efficient ways. You could take a step up from there, use an Excel spreadsheet or something like that, or you could take another step up to using some sort of an automated accounting software. The most common software that's used for bookkeeping is QuickBooks Desktop, is used by about 80% of small businesses in the United States. That number's dropping a little bit over time, but traditionally used by about 80% of small businesses in the United States. And it is a full service bookkeeping software, meaning you can do just about everything you want to do from a bookkeeping perspective for a campground or RV park, you can do inside of QuickBooks Desktop. You can even start to automate it by having it download various transactions for you. Some of the reconciliation features are sort of automated, but once you have a piece of software like QuickBooks, you can begin to use that to do your bookkeeping. There's a number of other tools out there that are cloud-based, meaning they're sort of hosted online. Our favorite is QuickBooks Online. We find that to be the most user-friendly of the various online software resources, and there's also one called Xero, Xero, that you could look into as well. Once you've selected an accounting software, you can begin to learn about it and begin to learn what it will do for you. And, as I mentioned, you can use some of the automation tools to pull in some of the data. When we do back-end bookkeeping for our campgrounds and RV parks, where we kind of take over the whole back end, we're integrating their credit cards, we're integrating their bank account data, we're integrating their reservation system. So whether you're on ResNexus or whether you're on CampSpot, or if you're a KOA park and you're on K2, we're integrating that data in as well. We're also oftentimes integrating the payroll data in as well, so that's flowing as well. What we do is we then pull all of that data together, and we use that data to begin to classify the expenditures, to begin to reconcile the data, produce financial reports. Those are things that all of you should be doing all the time, consistently, inside of your accounting system, whatever that may look like. One of the keys to doing bookkeeping well is to make sure that you're staying up to date on it. I understand that a lot of you are not necessarily trained bookkeepers. You didn't go to school to do accounting or anything like that, and that's fine. The number one key with bookkeeping is just to stay on top of it. Be consistent. in your time, be consistent in how you enter the data, and then ultimately at the end of the day, you're gonna end up with a pretty good set of books. Another tip I'll kind of throw out there is for a lot of you that are using QuickBooks Desktop or QuickBooks Online, if you can't figure out how to do something, the number one place you should go is YouTube. You can find a tutorial, a walkthrough. We just did a tutorial and a demo on YouTube. And then within a week or two, several thousand people had viewed that tutorial to figure out how to solve the exact problem that we solved on the video. So go on YouTube, you can find the answer to what you're looking for. So that is kind of a high-level overview of what bookkeeping is. Now, why is bookkeeping important? This is an interesting question, and one that I answered recently with a client, a campground owner, and they basically asked me and said, Michael, what's the point of doing bookkeeping, right? They said, we're doing our bookkeeping basically so you can just do our tax return at the end of the year. And that's an important reason, right? And I said, yes, that's important. And I said, there's basically two reasons to do bookkeeping. Two reasons. The first reason is so that you can have your tax return done, right? So that you have an accurate book and record. So there's one reason. And the second reason is so that you have accurate financials so that you can run your business. And I said, those are pretty much the only two reasons that I can really think of to do that, to have bookkeeping. And I said, one of those is really, really, really important, and the other one is just kind of important. The kind of important one is the tax reason, meaning, yes, it's important. We've got to have accurate books and records to do the tax return, but the really important reason you need bookkeeping is so that you have the data at your fingertips in a real-time fashion so that you can make decisions about how your business is operating, about how your expenses are flowing, about how your revenue is comparing to prior years, how your expenses are comparing to prior years, how your numbers are comparing to your budgets, etc. There are a lot of really, really, really important reasons inside of that, that realm of having financial data to run your business. There's a lot of really intricate details inside of there, and I cannot emphasize enough how I encourage you to put a bookkeeping system into place so that you understand how your numbers are flowing throughout the year. And then, by the way, as a result of that, you're going to have accurate books and records to prepare your tax return, which will hopefully save you money because you're capturing all of your expenditures and things like that. Now, I would say don't get discouraged. If you simply do not have the time to do your bookkeeping, you can look to outsource your bookkeeping either to a per diem bookkeeper, an employee who has bookkeeping skills, or just outsource it to a firm like ours or another outsourced accounting firm who can really take over the back end bookkeeping for you and do that in an efficient, a timely manner so that you've got real-time data and you don't have to worry about it. You got a lot of options out there to do that. But number one, just remember that you really, really, really need accurate financial data so that you can make real-time decisions that are going to impact your business. And now kind of the last thing I want to hit on here is what's the difference between sort of personal bookkeeping, kind of keeping like a check register, and sort of business bookkeeping, because a lot of us are very familiar on the personal side, right? We keep an ongoing balance in our check registers of what's in our personal bank account, and we may even reconcile that against the bank statements every once in a while to make sure that it's kind of jiving. So what's the difference? And I would say the primary difference is oftentimes when you're doing that personally, you're just wanting to ensure you know how much cash is in the bank. And that's important to know. But when we're doing bookkeeping for a business, we're not just wanting to understand how much cash is left, but we're also wanting to understand where our money went. We're wanting to understand the trends of how our money is flowing. So that way we can make adjustments, right? We can look back and we can say, hey, did we spend too much on X, Y, or Z? And so that's the real difference, and I think that is fundamental to understanding how bookkeeping works. And so if you take nothing away from this video, it's just that please do your bookkeeping, keep it up to date, keep it timely. If you need help, get help. If we can answer any questions for you on bookkeeping, on anything as it relates to economics and finance, as it relates to campgrounds and RV parks. We exclusively serve campgrounds and RV parks and camp and park accounting. We're happy to help you. If you have any questions you would like us to answer on the next episode of the Ask the Campground CPA question series, please shoot me an email, michael@campandparkaccounting.com, or leave a comment below the video and we will be happy to answer that. Have a great day.